There's been enough questions about VEPro that I think it makes sense to do a quick tip on how to load and unload instruments either in your template for permanent use or to swap out per project. Now the reason I didn't go into more detail about this in all of the VEPro tutorials I did is my main project takes about 5 minutes to open. So demonstrating opening and closing it and showing how maybe my synth sounds move with each project I have, they're project specific, it would have taken 10 minutes. So what I did instead was I made a very small, simple project that hopefully will make it a lot easier for you to understand how VEPro works. Now, all I did here was add an instrument track and choose Vienna Ensemble Pro. It's even over here on the side. And if I tap I, which I think is the default, I can see my instances and where they're connected. And what I did was I actually did a new instance and I named it string shorts. And then I came over here and I added these. Then I did a second new instance. I clicked here and named it synth. I came over here and I added these. The important things you need to pay attention to. This right here, first of all, this window down here is going to give you a shortcut name to everything. So if you look in the bottom left, disconnect instance. Now that automatically turns on and off when you connect or disconnect over here. These are the kickers right here. Keeps the instance loaded when disconnected. And what that means is VEPro is saving all of the information that's in this particular tab this is on my slave computer, on my first slave. So it's saving it within VEPro. That's what that lock means. So if you want to use a template that has, let's say, all of your short strings like this, and you know you're always going to use all of those short strings, and that's your default short string sound, and you don't want to have to unload it when you close your project and then have it load back when you open your project, all you have to do is click this lock. Now when you close your project, this is going to stay here. It's not going to disappear. The second tab, decouple. This is what gets a lot of people confused, I think. All this really means is if you decouple it, it will not save your tab. So if it's decoupled, if I come over here and I hit save, these are not, they're coupled, I guess. They're not decoupled yet. So when I hit save, watch this little dialog box down here. I'm going to go to Cubase and hit save. See, it says project saved. Now that means this project was saved and this project was saved. Now the reason these are grouped together is most of the time if you have it preserved, if the lock is engaged here, meaning that you're saving this information within this VEPro Ensemble server, there's no reason for you to save this tab every time you hit save in your DAW. And what decouple does is it keeps it from saving, because the idea is you've already saved it here. You'd said, I want to save the project as, and it's going to open like that every time. It's stored locally on your slave machine. You don't need to keep saving it via Cubase, because the real trick there is if it's not decoupled, meaning if the icon with the spinny arrows is not lit, it means it's still connected to Cubase. So when you hit save, it's going to save that project. Now, if you have 1 or 2 projects, no big deal. If you have 7, 8, 10, 12 different tabs in Vienna Ensemble Pro that have hundreds of channels, you're talking about a minute for it all to save. So the real key here is the ones that you know you want to keep that are in your template, quote unquote. Both of these icons are engaged. Now something for me, like synthesizers, that's going to be specific per project. So I do not want to have either icon engaged, and I do not want to go up here and choose to save this instance, because if I leave both of those unlit, it means that all of my information is actually being saved in this plugin right here, which technically I would name synth to match up with synth here. I just left this so it's not too complicated and you understand. These are 2 separate VEPro plugins. So now when I hit save, let's say that I did this. If I hit save over here, if you watch this bottom screen, they're both decoupled. So I just saved in Cubase and nothing saved over here. I want both of these to not be checked, because I want them to be, all the information to be carried with my project here. So if you watch this bottom tab over here and I hit save, project save. So it's saving all of this information. If I go here and, let's just say these are my 3 default synths that I love having with each project to get started. And now I'm just gonna pick, that'll be easy to remember. I'm just gonna pick a couple of patches and, I tweaked them, I did what I wanted to with them. The sphere always takes a second to open. I'm gonna go here, that's defaulted to Matt's thing. So there we go, those 3 are there. Now when I come over here, if you again watch this bottom tab, I'm gonna hit save, project save. Now the beauty of this, it means all the information is being stored in your Cubase file here locally. So since I just saved, I can technically close this out and look what happened, it disappeared. It unloaded it because you closed the project. Now let's say I had another project. I open a second project that's got a different set of synths. It's gonna load those synths in this tab for me. And then let's say I wanna go back to this project. I open this up, you're gonna see Cubase thinking. It loads the mix console, and then just as if it were loading the synths into your Cubase project, it's now loading them offline on another computer the exact same way with all the same instruments. I actually host a lot of plugins and things on my slave machine, so I could have EQ or compression or anything like that. The Cubase file is covering this window, but as you can see, it just loaded all those. And there's my synth sounds, and if I click on them, they're the same ones that I just chose. And there's Alamero. So hopefully, this makes it a little more straightforward how VEPro works and what's so incredibly magical about it, because you can have a lot of different instances and have them save and stay put in the computer on your slave machine, or you can have them open and close with your individual Cubase projects. Hope that helps. Happy composing.